And you're back watching the late edition here on SABC News Channel. Now, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi has dismissed reports that King Misuzulu has asked him to step down from his position as traditional prime minister to the AmaZulu monarch and nation. This followed reports that Buthelezi might have relinquished his position due to disagreements between himself and the king over issues such as the appointment of members of the Ingonyama Trust Board. Buthelezi also dismissed a media report based on a private letter from the king to Buthelezi as inaccurate. Buthelezi added that the meeting he called with the Amakosi next week is to inform them of developments regarding the Ingonyama Trust, as they are the custodians of the trust land.
I'm clinging to this position of traditional prime minister as though I receive some personal benefit from holding it. When I don't get even a blue cent. There would be no humiliation for me to relinquish it now. Having served loyally for almost 70 years, I would have no regrets whatsoever. But the simple fact is that I have not asked His Majesty to release me from the position, because I told His Majesty from the very beginning that I would serve at his pleasure for as long as he required me and as long as I'm able, for the sake of the kingdom and for the sake of the Zulu nation. The king has not asked me to relinquish his position in spite of all these circumstances, and I'm still in the service of the king. So you can see how much damage these journalists who wrote all this, actually stirring, pandemonium in the Zulu nation by saying that I've released it, I've relinquished it.
Last year, the AmaZulu traditional Prime Minister Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi actually warned of factional battles having turned the royal family into a laughing stock. Buthelezi was speaking ahead of King Misuzulu's kraal-entering ceremony, which preceded him being proclaimed king. A bitter succession battle has since played out in public, with two other sons of the late King Goodwill Zwelithini also claiming to be the rightful heirs of the throne. The squabbles in the kingdom appear to continue unabated following the latest reports of tension now between King Misuzulu KaZwelithini and his closest ally and traditional Prime Minister Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Let's get a better perspective on this. We're joined by historian and cultural expert Khaya Ndwandwe. A very good evening to you, Mr. Ndwandwe, and thank you so much for speaking to us. I'd like to start at that point, the predictions by the Prime Minister about the chaos making the royal family a laughing stock. Has he become a victim of his own predictions, or was his prescience really born out of the understanding of the people and the dynamics?
Good evening, my sister. Thank you very much for having me. Hello?
Oh, yes. Perhaps let me repeat the question. The predictions made by the Prime Minister last year saying that there are going to be disagreements, and those disagreements are leading to the royal family and household being made a laughing stock. I'm saying, is he now a victim of his own predictions, or was his prescience born out of understanding of the dynamics and the people?
Yes, my sister, it is true. Now he already become a victim of this thing that happened in the family. As you see now, there is some rumors that the king want to dismiss the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to his position, which we don't know where does it came from, because even Mr. Buthelezi too, he did mention that this thing has come from the media. I did agree. What happened, according to my understanding, in our culture, we have got some words that we have to avoid. So there is one newspaper, if I'm not mistaken, that say igota, they mention the word igota. If you mention that word igota with the royal family, you mean that there is a big damage. So I think it's where that thing occurred. By reading or having that thing in the media. If someone say now is the time of Uqabuka, that means that they are already divided. So I think that thing put Mr. Buthelezi to be a victim of everything that will happen around the throne.
But these reports say King Misuzulu has allegedly accused the prince of sabotaging his court battle with his other siblings, Prince Mangosuthu, and that we heard that the Prime Minister himself actually dismissed these claims. But I want to understand what is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, my sister, while I'm not there at this moment, but what I can assure you is that Mr. Dr. Buthelezi, Prince Mangosuthu will never ever work behind the scene regarding to King Misuzulu, because he is the one that he fights a very strong battle. So I don't think he can betray the king up to so far. I think there are people among them who are trying to divide them, Dr. Buthelezi and Isilo Samabandla. Since we have got these royal families, I think what they have to do, they have to sit down and iron out. But I don't think there is any division that up to so far, because Mr. Dr. Buthelezi did call it that firstly it was called Imbizo. It used to happen because at the end of the day, they must agree with one word, because Dr. Buthelezi too, while he's the Prime Minister, he is Inkosi Buthelezi too. At the end of the day, he must report to the king, Isilo Misuzulu. I think this thing, once Mr. Buthelezi managed to come to that meeting with the AmaZulu, everything will be clear, because now we are speculating. I can come with this version and somebody might come with this version.
And I want to address that issue of speculation. So we heard Prince Buthelezi speak earlier on that he has called a meeting with AmaZulu to give them an update on the Ingonyama Trust. But there have been reports in the past, very recently actually, suggesting that Prince Buthelezi himself did not attend the King's Imbizo with the AmaZulu about 2 weeks ago. Is this also another misunderstanding? Do you have a clearer idea of what happened there?
Yes, I think there is a misunderstanding between the two elderly men, the statesman and the king. So they have to iron it out. According to my understanding, you know, Dr. Buthelezi, in our culture, we call him Isiseko, because he's the one who must place the king in the same position, like a father pass if you are building. If anything might come, he is the one who must advise the king which direction he must take. But not always the king will take that way. But it's look like now something strong that comes between. Hopefully, Dr. Buthelezi, when he came with to meet AmaZulu, they'll manage to settle down the situation. But up to so far, it's looked like there is that misunderstanding, because we see in the media there is some letters that came. We see that letters coming from the king, which we are not quite sure how true it is. But up to so far, there is that thing that is going around.
And that's what I wanted to find out, the authenticity of this letter. We heard Prince Buthelezi question, and you even raised the issue of language in that. But within that letter, it is being said that the reappointment of Judge Jerome Ngwenya as the Ingonyama Trust Board was instrumental in the breaking down of relations between the two, because it was believed, according to the reports of the letter, that King Misuzulu believes that Prince Buthelezi did not sign an affidavit in this whole court battle in the succession rate because of the appointment of Judge Jerome Ngwenya.
My sister, there is a new habit that came now, to see each other keep on replying to replying with on the media. According to our understanding, there must be someone who is a royal spokesperson, like Prince Tulane, because he was a spokesperson before. So there were the real thing was that they avoid all these things, because somebody must be instructed to write this letter, to speak on behalf of the king. So actually, if you can ask me, who distributed that letter, they say it's from the king. I don't know. Nobody can say it's me. But before, it was easy, because there was only someone, one man who was in charge. in everything. So now I don't know how Dr. Buthelezi managed to address this thing, because he was supposed to call the king and settle the thing away. So now you see everything now is go on media, left side, right side, left side, right side. I think it can go far away unless this day can come after that Mr. Buthelezi will address the nation with the king.
Okay, so I want you, I know I'm asking you to further speculate, but according to how things stand now, as you say, it's playing itself out in the media, whereas there could be a conversation that is had between the elder and Isilo over the business affairs of what the role of the Prime Minister is. Prince Buthelezi spoke about the fact that he serves at the pleasure of the king. Where do you see this going further? Do you see him remaining as such? And what is the strategic importance of that role?
I think he will remain as the Prime Minister of the Zulu nation, because if you can see, we used to say history repeat itself. It did happen to Umjogobane, Ubaba Wesilo before, where there was a friction between them, but they managed to iron it out. I think this thing at the end of the day, Dr. Buthelezi and Isilo will sit down and settle everything right. If you can remember, during the coronation, Isilo did present Dr. Buthelezi with a loan scheme that show a highly...
So unfortunate that we had to lose the link to that line at that particular moment. But we thank you for your time, cultural expert and historian Khaya Ndwandwe, just giving us his thoughts on what we have been seeing play out, as he said, in the media, and the press briefing held earlier on by the Prime Minister of the AmaZulu nation, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.